He said it to my face, standing by the kitchen door. "The kids are mine. You are nothing." At that moment the coffee maker was making a burning sound, and I just looked at him. There were no tears in my eyes, no voice rose. I didn't fight. I placed my keys on the table, put on my jacket, and walked out. In that very moment, I decided that if I was going to speak, I would speak in court. I live in an ordinary town in Ohio, the kind where winter turns the roads white with salt and summer brings a smiling landlord who hands you a notice if the rent is even a day late. I used to work as a nursing assistant. After the pandemic, my hours were cut. Bills kept piling up. When my health insurance ended, my asthma medication went on a credit card. Our kids, Emma and Luke, were growing up in the middle of all this. They laughed while waiting for the school bus, like nothing in the world was wrong, like adults' words couldn't touch them. He kept saying I didn't do anything. The truth was that I woke up at 5 every morning, packed the kids' lunches, filled his coffee mug, then took 2 buses to get to the clinic. On the way home, I picked up groceries, checked homework, and at night, while he watched Netflix, I opened envelopes and added numbers. Those same envelopes would later become evidence. The first time he mentioned divorce was the day I asked why the credit card balance had gone up again. He laughed and said, "Because you don't earn anything." Then he called the kids into his room and told them Dad would take care of everything. That moment screamed inside me, but I stayed quiet. I booked a free appointment at a legal clinic. The lawyer there looked exhausted but steady, the kind of woman who had seen too much to be fooled. She said, "Keep every receipt. Every tax return. Every message." So I did. That folder lived in my bag. Receipts from school field trips, my medical bills, his overtime pay stubs, the email where he wrote that caring for the kids was your hobby. I took screenshots on my phone. Nights when he came home late and said putting the kids to bed was my job. Mornings when the school called about unpaid fees. I didn't collect these things out of anger. I collected them because something in me knew silence only works if it's backed by facts. The day in court was cold. Wooden benches, an old clock ticking too loudly, and a judge whose face looked worn down by years of other people's problems. He stood there confident, clean suit, that same voice he used to make me feel small. He said, "I'm the only breadwinner. The kids are safe with me. She's emotional." I held my hands together under the table. I said nothing. My lawyer simply said, "Your Honor, a file." The folder opened. Paper rustled through the room, receipts, emails, pay stubs, school records. The judge looked up. His eyes weren't on my husband. They were on the pages. Then he looked up again, and I saw it, the color drained from his face. The room went quiet, but the silence was full of truth. "Mr. Harper," the judge said, "you stated the petitioner does nothing. This record says otherwise." He read the kids' names, the dates, asked who took them to doctor appointments, who signed school forms, who paid for medication. My husband tried to answer, but his voice thinned, like air leaking out. The decision wasn't a miracle. No applause. No dramatic speech. Joint custody. Child support. And one sentence that felt like oxygen: the mother will remain the primary caregiver. I closed my eyes. Still no tears. Maybe later. As I walked out, a woman at the clerk's desk slipped a piece of paper into my hand and said, "If you need help, call this number." It was small. Ordinary. An American miracle in its simplest form. I put it in my pocket. Life didn't get easy overnight. I picked up double shifts. Moved with the kids into a small apartment. Put their drawings on the fridge. We celebrated with cheap pizza. I called that number and found a community program that helped with daycare. My breathing slowly evened out, not just from the asthma, but from the constant fear. Sometimes he still sends messages. I keep my replies short now. My revenge wasn't loud. It was standing upright. It was putting the truth on paper instead of throwing it into the air. I learned that silence isn't weakness when there's proof behind it. One evening, Emma said, "Mom, you're strong." I laughed and said, "We all are." Snow was falling outside the window. Inside, it was warm. I turned off the coffee maker, and a quiet calm settled in my chest. I was nothing, that was his sentence. The truth was, I was everything. And now, that truth was on record. If this story moved you, Please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps more than you know. Your support allows these real, human stories to reach others who may need them. Thank you for listening, for staying till the end, and for being part of this community.